And welcome back to the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey. In today's tutorial we're going to be working on this gorgeous adult hat here, and this is a beanie hat, and this fits like a glove. We have a free pattern for this. You can find that in the more information of this video. There are 3 different colors here. You think that there's more, but what I've done is that I've used color transitioning yarn by Red Heart Boutique in order to achieve that. But you don't have to substitute for that yarn. You can just use regular Super Saver. You can do with Love. You can do any other kind of transitioning yarn. We are using a size G hook and or a 4.5 millimeter, and it is absolutely amazing, as you can see. If you're following the tutorial and prefer an ear flap tutorial, we have that available as well, depending on the version that you're looking at right now. We have 2 videos, and in that version I'm going to show you how to create the ear flaps. So the adult version is going to show you exactly how to make this. You can substitute the yarn, as you can see here, and then one of the versions will have the ear flap associated to it at the end. So it's up to you. For this tutorial, obviously a pair of scissors is going to be handy. A size G or a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook is what you're going to need. You're going to need a stitch marker, but if you don't have that, you can just cut a piece of string just like so, and we're going to use that string as a measurement for being able to go around the hat. And basically I keep losing my stitch marker, so it's a great opportunity to make up something that I already have, and I have lots of string on hand. So now let's get it started on this tutorial. To start off with, if you want the directions for this pattern, you can just go to the more information of this video, and there is a direct link to get that. So I'm just going to create a slip knot just like you see. There are slower tutorials available on learning how to crochet throughout my collection here on YouTube. We want to create a slip knot and then slip in our hook just like so. So Kathy is asking us to do a chaining of 4. This first one never counts as 1. So let's begin to do 4. So 1, we're just chaining, 2, 3, and 4. And what we need to do, I know it's kind of hard to see, but I want you to do a slip stitch to the beginning chain that you started with and just pull it through, and this is going to create a ring just like you see, like that. So that is our first step. We want to keep the straggler on top of the line just like this, so when we go around it, that straggler is going to get caught into position. So let's move up on our directions. Our next step is to chain 2, so 1 and 2, and we want to go around the center of this ring, and we want to do that 9 times half double crochet. So we're just going to wrap the material going into the center of the ring, pull through. You will have 3 loops on your crochet hook, pull through all 3 just like that, and we want to do that a total of 9 times. And what I need you to do then is that it's actually going to be a total of 10, because that chaining of 2 actually counts as a half double crochet. So we are only doing 9 half double crochets, but with the chaining it counts as 10. So just in case you ever see that in further directions. So let's get you to do 9. I'll meet you back up in a second, and I want to show you where we're going to use that first stitch marker. So I've come all the way around. I have my chaining of 2, my 9 half double crochets, and all I want to just do is coming into the top of the chain 2 that I started with, and I want to create a slip stitch just like that and through there. So let's pull everything tight. So I'm just going to pull this loop bigger, and we're going to do this big loop throughout this process. I want you to put your hook from the back side through, and that string that I asked you to cut, or if you have a stitch marker, just pull a piece of it through so that you know where the stop and start of this project is. And now let's pull that back tight to your hook and move along to your next round. To begin our next one, we are going to chain 2. So 1 and 2, and we're going to put in a half double crochet right at the base of where this is. Right at the base, right underneath. Normally we don't do that, but we are going to do it here, so it's a half double crochet there. And what I need you to do is at every stitch around, we're going to put 2 half double crochets into each. Okay, so just continue to put 2 half double crochets into each stitch all the way around. Continue to do that. We'll meet you back up in a second. We'll move along to the next step. Okay, we're coming all the way back around. See where the stitch marker is that we place in? That's your last stitch of this particular round that we're going to do, and we're still putting in our half double crochets. You should have a total of 10 sets of 2 going all the way around, which includes that first one where I had you chain up 2 and then put a half double right into the bottom, and so that will give you a total of 20 all the way around. I just want you to slip stitch now to the top of the beginning chain. Do never slip into a gap like that, because it'll open up on your project. Make sure you go right into an actual chain that you see. Pull the loop bigger, and now let's reposition this stitch marker one more time as we go higher in this pattern. and then pull our loop back tight to our crochet hook, and we're now ready to move along in the pattern. Okay, moving along, we are now going to chain up 2, 1, 2, and instead of coming right at to the base that you did on the last one, we're going to jump immediately to the very first stitch that's available. So let's jump immediately to the first stitch for the half double crochet, and then the next one that we're going to do is going to be 2 half double crochets into the next. So we're going to go to the next one and put 2 half double crochets in. Okay, so this whole round is about alternating. So we're going to do 1 half double crochet into the next, and then in the next stitch we're going to put 2 half double crochets in. And so essentially we're just growing the circle bigger by just going with this ratio. So remember, 1 half double in one, and then the next one is 2 half doubles in there, and just continue to do that, repeating back and forth all the way around. We'll meet you back up in a second and we'll carry on. So we're now coming all the way back around. Here is my stitch marker. I just got one more to go, and it happens to be where there's 2 half double crochets in the same one. You should know that every time you go around, the last one will always have the double in if you're playing your cards right. Now let's slip stitch to the top of the beginning, chain 2, and pull this loop bigger, and now let's pull that stitch marker through so we can see it. It's great. I like this idea of these strings. I don't lose these stitch markers since I've really getting religious with these strings for keeping count of my rows. So let's move up, and we're going to start our next round right now. To begin our next round, we're just going to chain 2 again, and we're immediately going to go right into the next stitch that's available. Okay, so not directly underneath, but into the next stitch here. Okay, and that's also a half double crochet. We're half double crocheting for most of this project, other than the striping that we will do. The next stitch is also a half double crochet, and then the next one that we're going to run into is going to be 2 half doubles inside that one. So on this particular revolution, it's going to be the same. So the first stitch is going to be a half double crochet, next one is a half double crochet, and then the third one is going to be 2 half double crochets. So 1, 1, 2. So just remember that 1, 1, 2. And the texture of my yarn has just changed as well, which is making it kind of neat. I like it for that purpose alone. So let's continue to do that all the way around. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. Okay, so we're finishing up, and the last one is going to have 2 half double crochets if you're paying attention and it's happening to do it right for you. And then we slip stitch to the top of the beginning, chain 2, and then readjust that stitch marker again. Stitch marker really gives you a good indication as well if you're actually moving up on the properly as well. So let's begin our next row right now, or round right now. So we're just going to immediately chain 2 again, 1 and 2, and so for the next 3 stitches, so let's do that. It's just a regular half double crochet in. So 1, and then the next one's a half double crochet for, okay, and so we got 3 half doubles in a row just like there, and now the fourth one here is going to be 2 half double crochets. So let's review again one more time. The next 3 are going to be just 1 half double crochets into each. So that was 2 and 3, and then the next one is going to be 2 inside. So just remember 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2. Okay, so continue to do that all the way around. We'll meet back up in just a second. So we're back around again, and the last one is going to get 2 half double crochets into that, just like we did before, and then we slip stitch it to the top of the chain 2 that we started off with. And again, let's readjust our stitch marker again. Once we start changing color, it becomes obvious where the stop and start of the revolutions are. It's not so obvious when you're using fancy yarn as well as regular yarn for that. So let's move along to your next round. Moving along to our next round, we are now going to again chain up 2, and we're just going to immediately jump into the next stitch, and we're going to do the next 4 stitches. It's just 1 half double crochet each. Okay, so the next 4 like that. And so on the 5th one, you were going to put in 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. So here's the thing. So you're going to do 4 1/2 doubles in a row. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then on the 5th, you're just going to put in 2 half doubles. So continue to do that all the way around, just back and forth. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 4 half doubles, and then the 5th one will be 2 half doubles in the same stitch. So continue that. We'll meet back up in just a second. So coming all the way back around, the last stitch again is a 2 half double crochet, or if you're keeping count, and we're just going to finish off with the slip stitch to the top of the chain 2 and finalize that round. And you can tell that the colors, the texture again changed halfway through this revolution. I love this yarn because of that, because it makes me look like an artist. Oh yeah, let's also move up our stitch marker again so we know exactly where we are on this project. Sorry, I was getting captivated by all the textures. Let's meet back up in just a second and continue along. So we're continuing to still grow this hat because it's obviously not big enough to go around an adult yet, so we're going to chain 2 again. And let's come into the very next stitch, and this time we're going to put 5 half double crochets in a row. So the next 5 stitches will be 1 half double crochet into each. So that was 3, 4, and 5, and then the next one is going to be 2 half doubles inside that one stitch. This is how people do round afghans, by the way. You just keep that same ratio going. So let's review again. So the next 5 will be 1 half double crochet. That was 1. This is 2. Oops, that's 2, 3, 4, and 5, and the next one will be 2. So continue to do that all the way around. Let me back up in a second and we'll carry on. And we're back to where we started again. The final is going to have 2 half double crochets in again because it's still keeping count. It's frustrating when that count doesn't match, but it should be pretty consistent for you. So let's let's move up that stitch marker again so we know exactly where the stitches are. If you had a regular stitch marker, you would just simply move it up the line instead of what I'm doing, but I really do like to see that line going up so I know exactly where the seam is, just for my own curiosity. And we're ready to move up to the next round. So we're ready to move up again, and here we go, chain 2. And so we're going to come into the next stitch again, and this stitch plus 5 more, so there's going to be a total of 6 stitches in a row. That will be 1 half double crochet. So that was 1. Go into the next for 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then the 7th here is where you're going to put in your 2 half double crochets. This is the final revolution, everybody, of the growing of this hat. After this, we are no longer growing it. So let's review again. So the first 6 are going to be 1/2s. Okay, so this is number 2 already. 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then 6. Well, that was supposed to be 6, 6, and the next one is 2 half doubles in the same one. So continue to do that all the way around, and it gets easier from this point on because we don't have to grow the hat anymore. So we're coming back to the end, and again it's 2 half double crochets in the end, one just like you were doing, and then we're going to slip stitch it to the top of the chain 2 that we started with, and we want to adjust that stitch marker up, and that is the growth. So what I want to explain to you next is that you will notice that this does not appear to be big enough for your head yet. And what you will notice that when you stop doing these round circles at the top, see how it's bending down like this? It's just going down on an edge like this. It's going to take 2 to 3 more revolutions of not adjusting your pattern for it to settle down in order to come up to the final width of the hat. So when people make these patterns, people think, oh, this is way too small, and then continue it and then realize that their hat is way too big. And that's reasons why people do that. So let's begin again our next revolution. We're no longer growing it, so it now gets really simple, and we're going to do one more revolution of blue before we finish off with this color for this particular part of our pattern. To begin our next round, we're just going to simply chain 2, and immediately just going into the very next stitch available, we are just going to half double crochet ourselves all the way around this hat. Okay, so every stitch is getting a half double crochet. No brainer. Come back to the, just continue to do that. Come back to the beginning again, do your slip stitch and do your slip marker one more time. This is the final blue before we start doing all the striping work that I'm going to show you to do that next. You don't have to do any striping. You can continue with this yarn. I think I would probably keep it consistent without changing color, but you know what, I have to follow the pattern because Kathy did such a fabulous job. So continue to do that, and we'll meet you back up in a few seconds and we'll finish off this round. So we're now coming all the way back around, and I really want to show you something. Do you see how this goes in? It's right below where I put the stitch marker. That stitch here in this is part of the same family. So when people go to slip stitch, they don't realize that that stitch there is part of it, and when they're trying to grow stuff, it just ends up being growing out instead of coming down flat. So if I was to do this, what's going to happen is that the hat is going to continue to grow out by one stitch all the way around. So I want to make sure that when I'm looking for this line here, I just look for where it's originating and realize that that is part of that. So hopefully that can explain that to you better. So we're just going to slip stitch it here, and we're going to finish off this color, and I want to just trim it, and I just want to kind of pull it tight and just weave in my ends like this, and the next revolution is going to capture those ends into position, so I don't need to worry about really being too particular about fastening it in, I guess you can say. And we're actually done with that stitch marker that you see on the hat. You can pull it out if you wish. I'm not going to pull mine out. I really want to kind of see where my hat is growing, and so I'm ready for my very next color. So on the pattern you would have asked for color A, B, or C. So on my notes that I put beside me is that color A is this blue, color B will be the gray, color C will be white, and so that might help you as well. So let's get your next color ready, and we're going to fasten on exactly where we finished off right there. Now I have my next color ready. I don't want to do any knots. I just want to form a loop just like so, and I want to slip in my crochet hook to where I basically started before. Okay, we want to make sure we get it right into a stitch, and I just want to pull that loop through. So there's no knots on it, and I want to pull the straggler and the string going to the yarn ball through one, and then let the straggler fall down, and then just chain up one more. Okay, so that's the equivalent of chaining up two if I really wanted to. So I'm going to come into the next stitch for a half double, crochet, just like this, and I want to lay that straggler down on the top, and I want to make sure I capture everything into position. So the straggler stays on top, and I continue to go into each stitch all the way around. So I'm not growing, as I mentioned already. So one half double crochet into each one using your color B, and we'll meet back up in a second. Do not finish this color off. We're going to go one more revolution of this color before we finish this color off and move on to your next. Okay, we're now going to finish up this revolution here, and again just slip stitching it to the top of the chain 2. We do not want to finish off this particular color yet. We want to again chain 2 and then continue to go all the way around the hat one more time for half double crochet. I know it's kind of hard to see this yarn on camera. I think that's what appeals to me about it, is that it's not so standard, and it's actually really easy stuff to work with if you're experienced and you know where the holes are. So continue to half double crochet, and at the end we're going to slip stitch and then fasten off this color and begin our next and start doing all of the single crocheting striping that exists in the center of this hat. So I've already done my last stitch. It's now time to slip stitch to the top at the beginning, chain 2, and I want to fasten this off, so I'm going to trim and take this yarn, pull it through that, and just weave this in. And again, when we go around, just like you see the blue here, it's trapped in a position. I'm going to go in afterward and trim those loose ends out. So just continue to weave these in just a few times like that, and now it's time to change the color and change it exactly where you finished off there. So it says to switch the color back to color A. Color A is the original that I started off with, and now let's begin to form a loop, and we just want to go into the stitch, pull a loop through, and just like before, this is going to be a single crochet. Now we're going to do single crochet now for the next several revolutions, and so I just want you to take the loose end and the yarn leading to the yarn ball and pull it through the loop that you just made, and that counts as your single crochet. So now just simply going around into the stitches, lay down the top, or sorry, the straggler on top of the line like that, and just do single crochet all the way around. And so we're going to do that for one revolution, and then we're going to change our color again, and we'll meet you back up in just a second where we'll do that. I've now come all the way back around and just got to do one more single crochet into the final stitch here, and then we're just going to slip stitch to the beginning chaining that you did, the beginning fasten on. And now let's change our yarn to color C. Now color C I chose to be white, so whatever your color C is. If you are using color transitional yarn, you may not even be changing color, but still continue to follow along. And color C, I decided to do white, and white is pretty shocking in this, and I really wanted that accent color here. So let me just put in this. So I'm just going to slip in my hook to the stitch, pull the loop through just like we did, and now with the yarn and the straggler just pull it through that loop, and that counts as your single crochet. And we're simply just going to single crochet ourselves all the way around, and we're going to slip stitch at the end and finish off this color again and switch it, and we are moving on then to color A after that. So we're going to switch it back to the blue for another revolution after this. So just stay tuned and I'll be right back. So I've just gone all the way around with the white, and again I'm on my last stitch here, and I'm just going to slip stitch it, pull that extra, finish it off just like we did before, weave in the ends a bit, and now it says to switch back to color A, and in my case it's that blue again. So that white is going to be sandwiched in between two blues. So just grabbing the blue again, and we are just creating the loop in exactly where we started before. Pull that loop through, pull the straggler and the yarn leading to the ball through. That is your one single crochet, and immediately jump into your next stitch for single crochet again all the way around this hat. Meet you back up in a sec, and we're going to finish off this color. What color are we going to next? We're going color B again, and color B is this striping of the gray. So let's continue that, and I'll meet you back up in just a second. So we're back all the way around again. We're just going to just slip stitch to the beginning again and fasten the blue off, and we're going to switch to color B, and color B for me is gray. It could be whatever for you. It could be color transitioning yarn that you're not even bothering. It's up to you. So I'm just weaving this in. I'm going to come back and trim these afterward, and now grab my color B, and I'm just going to fasten it in, pulling it through. This is also single crochet, so just do the same technique of fastening, let that piece fall down, and just single crochet again all the way around. Make sure that's on the top of the line so you don't have to worry about it falling apart on you. Single crochet all the way around. We'll meet you back up in a sec. We're going to fasten this color off again and begin, and we are moving on to color A after this, so we're going back to blue after this round. Okay, so I'm on my last stitch here, and it's now time to slip stitch to the beginning where you started and fasten that off. Do you see why I love this yarn? Is that I'm only using 3 yarn balls, but because each yarn ball has 6 different textures each, this hat looks like I've been changing colors and ideas throughout the hat, making it look very artistic. Now some people don't like that kind of look. Some people like to be very uniform, but I really like this. You know, this gray belongs to that gray, which is there and there. Oh my god, it's just fabulous. So I'm going to switch back to color A for this one, and this looks like shoelace here. Even more fabulous. And I just want to just fasten it on like I did before. We are single crocheting, so just use the same technique that I've already shown you. Make sure you lay that straggler on the top of the line, and we are going to single crochet ourselves all the way around using color B, and then we're going to fasten this off again, and we are going to do the next color. This is color A, so the next color will be color C. So we'll be switching back to white after this revolution here. So I'm back all the way around again. Again, we are just going to slip stitch to the beginning and then take this color off. So the snip, weave in, and we're going to switch to color C, and in my case it's white. Could be whatever for you. I already said that before. I'm really loving the way this is turning out. So color C is white, as I mentioned, so I'm just going to grab it again, just form a loop right where I stopped and started before. Just feed it in. and do the same thing. Make sure straggler stays on top of the line, and just single crochet ourselves all the way around. Meet you back up in a sec. We're going to switch this color out again, and color C then goes back to color A, which is the blue. And I know that changing color can be really daunting for some people, probably like a pain in the ass, to be quite honest with you. But some projects like this, the color changing really is worth the extra effort when you're doing it, because it really does change just a regular beanie into something quite remarkable in the end. So continue that. Meet you back up in just a second. It's now time to switch that color out again, so we're just going to fasten it off in the end, slip stitch it, trim, weave in the ends. You can see that we didn't need stitch markers for this. We're changing the colors basically every round, so that's why we haven't had to use those stitch marker idea for this duration of this hat. Probably don't need it for the rest of the hat either. Okay, so let's carry on. It says to switch to color A again, so we're going to switch it to B. You will notice that there is gray, blue, gray, blue, white, blue. So you can actually start seeing what Kathy's pattern is here when you look at it more closely. So let's begin to do the blue again, and fasten it on. Make sure that straggler falls on the top of the line, and go all the way around for another single crochet. Do that, and when we meet back up, we're going to change the color again, and blue, so this is white. We're going to switch the color back to B, I think, after this one. So we're going to switch it back to gray. So we're back all the way around, and we want to slip stitch to the beginning that you did before. And I want to point out something too. We are literally finalizing these striping right now as I'm talking to you. And the reason for it is that this is the last time you're going to be doing any kind of single crochet on this, and except for if you're doing the ear flap version of this hat, then you'll do single crochet all the way around the perimeter. But my point being is that when we started off this, we had 2 rows of gray starting out. Okay, so we had 2 rows. We did all of the striping here, and now what we want to do is that we want to finalize this, and the way Kathy designed it is that this stripe exists on this side as well. So let's grab our gray again, and that is color B for me, and basically just form a loop and join it. And what we want to do is 2 revolutions of half double crochet all the way around. So remember, this is half double crochet, so we're pulling the loop through, pull both through, let the straggler fall, chain 1, and now half double crochet all the way around, and just continue to do that all the way around. And we'll meet back up in a sec, and we're going to do one more revolution of this gray. So back all the way around again, just slip stitch it to the top of the chain 2 there, and this chain 2 again, and we're using the gray for one more revolution. We just want to circle around for half double crochets into each stitch as we go. So just continue to do that. We're going to fasten on off after this, and we're going to add on our final color, which is color A, the original blue, and we are going to do 3 revolutions of that. I'm going to get you started on that, but I'm not going to do a film for every row because it's just the same thing of half double crochets. So continue to do this one. We'll meet you back up in a second. We'll fasten this off and start on your blue so that you can finish up your hat. So now back all the way around, I just want to slip stitch to the top of the beginning, chain 2 again, and fasten off this gray. So this is the last time we're using gray for this particular beanie, unless we're doing the ear flaps. We have 2 videos for this particular project. This is just a straight beanie here, but if you want to add on an ear flap, depending on what video you're watching, it's up to you basically how far you want to take your creativity. So let's start on with the blue again. Just looking where I finished off. And so what I need you to do is I need you to fasten this on like we did before. So the loop, this is going to be a half double crochet line, so pull through both strings, lay down the straggler now on top of the line, and chain 1. And what I need you to do is that I need you to go around 3 times of this half double crochet, and each time I need you to do a I need you to do a slip stitch. and I don't think I need to show you that anymore. I think you pretty well got on to that. So this is just going to be one of three, so do 3 revolutions total of the blue, and then we'll meet back up fasten off, and if you're doing a straight beanie without an ear flap, you will be considered done at this point. And if you want to do the ear flap, then you can continue along and finish off with doing that as well. Choice is up to you. You are the artist. So now I'm on my last stitch, and this is my very last stitch if you're doing the beanie without the ear flap. And voila, I'm just going to finish it off. And I want to just do a better job of weaving in the ends. This is the very last piece here. You don't want it obviously falling out. I'm just securing it in, probably taking a darning needle and just weaving it in and out or inside the stitching itself. So this is a really great opportunity. I'm going to do that better on camera. Now all these pieces that were sticking out, because the way that we fasten them in, we can just simply just go along now and just trim like that. So you just have to go through your project and now and just trim up all the loose ends, and you will notice that you have an amazing beanie hat today. So if you're continuing along with the ear flaps, just continue along. If this is the ear flap video, just continue along, and if you're interested in the ear flap, I'll put a link in the more information or right now on screen, and you can just click that and continue along, or even see what it's all about. The stitch marker that we had in the top can just be pulled out of position like that, so you're good to go, and voila, just got a few more loose ends to trim, and voila, you have an amazing hat. I actually have tried it on off camera and it fits like a glove. I'm actually really quite impressed with this pattern, and Kathy has done an amazing job. And until next time, stay tuned if you're joining me with the ear flaps, and if not, have a great day and see you soon.